Hello everyone, and welcome back to another beer review. This time we're going to do something a bit special, because it is a limited one. It's Peroni, Gran, Riserva, and it's Puro Malto. Now basically what this is a special one. As you can see, it's in a brown bottle, so there's no chance of this going to be, how would you say, skunked. Which of course normal Peroni comes in a green bottle, which of course can be skunked, and I have tasted, unfortunately, quite a few times, bottles of Peroni that are like, oh, with the good cabbage smell off that and kind of nice cabbagey aftertaste. Lovely. That really adds to the flavour profile. It's skunked. So yes, now this is supposed to be a double malt lager, and it's I don't really know that much about it really. God. I'm going to have to put my other glasses on because I can't read the back of the bottle to give you a bit more information about it. Yes, it's supposed to be a limited edition, and it's 5.2% alcohol, and of course this is a product of Italy, so it's a premium lager, so it is premium, supposedly, and I got this for £2.08. Now, not that long ago we did a lager review. It was Adnam's English lager, and that was £2, and that was absolutely dreadful. I gave it something like 1.5 out of 5. And I think I was actually being generous that day because it was just dreadful. Normally after I do a review, I'll sip on the beer, because I think if it's opened and people have taken time to brew it, then I'll give it a chance. There's only a few that I've probably said, no, I can't drink that. Mostly if it's cases of it's like Foster's, Stella, that type of stuff. Budweiser, but that Adnams, I'm sorry, but that was down the sink. Seriously, it was just dreadful. I was really quite disappointed by it, but it is what it is, and we're on to bigger and better things. But the good thing is, this one is supposed to be brewed in Italy, so, and of course as you can see I've chilled it quite nicely. It's got nice condensation. Of course I've had it sitting out for a period just to kind of acclimatise, because you want it chilled but you don't want it coming straight out of the fridge and then pouring it, because it's not a good idea. But let's pop the lid off, have a wee. Let's pour it and see what it looks like. It's lively enough. You are getting kind of maltish, but it's a very light kind of malt. It's not like a kind of rich caramel kind of malt. It's that what I call, it's a bit like kind of tomatoey soup kind of malt. Kind of fruity, but not a sweet fruity. It's, as you can see, it's died off a bit, but again, it's also to do with some of the chilling, but yeah. It seems well carbonated. Yeah, so it has that kind of slightly savoury fruitiness to it that you get. Sometimes I like to call it kind of like tomato soup kind of smell about it. Light, of course, not strong. It's not smelling like a tin of Heinz or Campbell's, you know, but yeah, so let's see what it tastes like. Oh. Yeah, that's quite malty actually, yes, for a lager. There's a lot of flavours going on there. There is a sweetness coming from it. A little bit of straw, but just a little bit, not over near as strong as the Adnams English lager. But you get a little bit of it. You are getting a kind of tomatoey kind of fruitiness as well, and then yeah, you are getting a nice kind of gentle bitterness as an aftertaste, kind of dryness. I mean, the bitterness is very slight, but there's a dryness there as well that just kind of works with it and just kind of boosts the bitterness. But I think a lot of it's to do with the dryness as well. So yes, excuse me, it is crisp and dry. There is, but there's a kind of savoury fruitiness to it, and a slight strongness, but there is a natural sweetness. I've actually drunk ales and bitters and things like that with less flavour than this. Yeah, this is packed with flavour, but it's controlled flavour. It's not like heavily kind of dosed. I think a lot of times now with a lot of, especially craft beer, it's flavour for flavour's sake. Yes, if I add this, it gives it this flavour. If I add that, it gives it this flavour. No, let's give it as many flavours as it can. And it just, a lot of times, a lot of these kind of craft beers, they're top heavy and they're sickly to the point is like, let's cram as many flavours into the one kind of can of beer or bottle of beer, and you're thinking, no, let's not. Let's less is more. And I think, yes, they've understood this. There is a nice balance to it, but yes, there's a lot of flavours going on there, but they're not fighting each other. They're working quite well. You start off with kind of strawness, moving on to the kind of middle of the tongue. So start of the tongue, you're getting that ever so slightly gentle kind of straw, hay, bale. Moving on to the kind of middle of the tongue, you are getting that kind of dry, savoury fruitiness. And as it kind of tails off into the kind of back of the mouth, you're getting more of a kind of dryness and a bitterness. The sweetness comes from at the start, and it just kind of lingers there, and then of course when it gets to the back of the mouth it just kind of completely disappears. But when I say savoury, it's not a kind of sugary or caramel sweetness. It's a kind of, it's a type of sweetness you would get from a tomato, but you'd never turn around and say a tomato's sweet. It's not like an apple or things like that, or an orange and that. These are sweet fruits, whereas tomato is supposed to be as a fruit, but it's actually quite a savoury, kind of bittery. I think it's because of the acidity, and maybe it'd be interesting to see what the acidity of this is, but yeah. And it's interesting because the more you drink it, the more your mouth becomes more kind of acclimatised and accustomed to the kind of flavour profiles. So it becomes more and more pleasant, because initially when you first drink it, because there's some quite kind of distinct flavours, your mouth is like, oh, not in a bad way, but it's like there is a slight shock factor with the first couple of mouthfuls when you're trying to kind of identify the flavours and see where this is kind of going. But after about 4 or 5, mouthfuls. You really are kind of, I'm quite enjoying this type scenario. But yeah, but it's completely kind of flatty booze. So yes, try and shake it up, but when you want to do it, you kind of come back to life. Right, we're getting a wee bit. It's quite. It's well carbonated, but it's a gentle carbonation. There's lots of carbonation there, but it's not that kind of abrasive kind of carbonation where it's just kind of attacks the tongue or the inside of the mouth when you're basically doing it. So no, it's quite a gentle carbonation when you're drinking it. But yeah, well, for 8p more, it's a lot better than Adnams English Lager. And yeah, a lot more interesting, nicer kind of flavour profiles for 8p more. How marvellous is that? But yeah, what score would I give it? I would probably give it we could give it 3.5 out of 5 for the money it costs and the flavour profiles for a lager, because again, it's not trying to be kind of crafty and that type of stuff. It's taking its kind of existing kind of processes and kind of doubling up on certain parts of the ingredients. So yeah, I think yeah, it is a good premium lager for not really that much money. I mean, it's one of these ones, go out and get a couple of bottles just to treat yourself. Keep in reserve for yourself, of course. If you want to share it, fine, but I'd keep it for myself. So yeah, 3.5. It's an interesting one. It's one to look out for. I'd recommend, yeah, give it a go and see what you think. And quite surprised at that. It was interesting to actually see it in the shop. I was kind of surprised when I seen it in the shop. I thought, it's definitely one I'm going to have to get to give it a try. Just it parked my kind of curiosity, and of course you've got Gran, Riserva, sorry, and the Peroni bit. It's actually quite small on the label, so it's not like Peroni and then something else. No, it's quite small compared to it. So they're not trying to kind of ride on the kind of Peroni name so much. Yes, the thing that initially caught me first of all was actually the shape of the bottle, and I'm thinking, and it's a lager. It's Peroni. That's interesting, but yeah. I could see lots of people drinking this in wine bars in London. Do they still have wine bars, or is it gin bars now or something like that? Whatever trendy kind of places I kind of going to. I could see them, the trendy people drinking this, especially with the unique bottle. Yes, because a lot of people, when they want to kind of be trendy, Peroni is one of these kind of supposed to be trendy lagers. Unfortunately, I've tasted too much wild cabbage flavours from Peroni in the green bottles to the point is no, I wouldn't touch it with a batch bowl. I've tried it on draft and it just seems to be worse on draft, especially over here. Funnily enough, the Peroni that you get in Italy, especially in draft, is very different to the draft we get here. Strange that, but anyway. So, 3.5 out of 5. Packed with flavour, very interesting, quite affordable. My recommendation is get a couple of bottles to try for yourself. I only bought one. I'll probably go back and see if I can try and get some more, because yeah, I'd like to kind of drink a bit more of this and see what it's like. A couple of bottles and see how it works from going from the first bottle to the second bottle, and see how kind of continues. But yeah, a nice kind of discovery by accident, but I'm glad I did. Anyway, that's us for now. Thanks for watching, and cheers.